Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we've got ourselves a brand new Hammond collection figure to take a look at. Yes, the newest wave of Hammond collection as far as the smaller figures go on Walmart. They are a little bit more expensive than you'll find, on Target's pre-order, but they're also out like a month and a half early, which is really cool and definitely exciting. And the prices seem to keep fluctuating. For some reason, sometimes they have free shipping, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the price increases by like $10 to $15, but pretty much all of them when I grabbed them was, like right away when they first went up, they were in like the $20 to $30 range, so it's not a whole lot more than retail, and I really wanted to get these in my hands. So you can see today we are going to take a look at the MUSSAURUS, which is very exciting to see that species entering the Hammond collection line. On the side, you can see kind of a really cool image down here of the MUSSAURUS as well as Hammond collection. On the back, it does state Jurassic World, which it probably should say Jurassic Park, but whatever. And then down here, you can see a little image showing off the other figures that are in this wave, one of which is including the MUSSAURUS, which is actually kind of weird. And then over here on the side, again, Jurassic World, and then we just have a little bit of like information down there underneath the very cool image right there. So let's pop this open and check it out. So there is our MUSSAURUS now out of the packaging, and what's actually really cool is right now it kind of looks like it's standing on all fours. It's actually standing bipedally, which shows you that those limbs aren't touching there in the front, which means this has pretty darn good balance. But what's also cool is we actually have accessories. We have alternate front feet, which is really cool to have that included as well. And look at that, painted claws. That looks so nice. But let's go ahead and readjust the camera here. Bring this one in for a closer look. It's pretty much in the exact size range you're going to expect it to be in. But if you start here in the head sculpt looks really nice, and one thing you'll instantly notice is we do not have glass eyes. However, what we do have is a more detailed eye, which is actually really cool. You can see there's like some reds and yellows and a black pupil in there in the eye area, and of course a nice gloss coat. And you'll see the same thing over here on this side. And honestly, some people seem to like the glass eyes. I definitely prefer this over the glass eyes. I think that just looks so much nicer. You can see the pupil and eye and everything just so much nicer with those eyes. But heading through the head sculpt here, you can see the nostrils sculpted out. You can also see what appears to be like a little beak right there, and some very nice looking skin texture, some larger scales there on the lower jaw, and some very fine scales up there on the top of the head. You do have an articulated jaw when you open the mouth. The teeth are pretty big actually, which doesn't really look all that great. The teeth on the upper side have a very predatory sort of a look to them. Honestly, all of the teeth do, which I feel like looks a little awkward for the figure, but it is what it is, I guess. Inside the mouth, we do have like a dark reddish tone for the tongue, and that red does run to the upper side of the inside of the mouth, which you can see, and there's a little bit of decent detail up there. There's also a nice gloss coat inside the mouth like you would want to see. As you move back, you start to pick up some striping. The primary body color is a gray for the dinosaur, and then you have some dark blue stripes that pick up right there on the top of the head and then lead back into the neck. You do also have a nice little spot of articulation right here, which actually can go really high and down really nicely, and of course can turn left and right. Wow, that's really nice. This is pretty much the articulation that we used to have on the Raptors, and now it has returned for the MUSSAURUS, which is really, really well done and definitely a nice addition to this figure. As we continue to move down through the neck, we still have the blue stripes as you lead down, those dark blue stripes, but you also start to pick up some light blue kind of mixing in with those dark blue stripes. We could see some osteoderms popping up here as you lead through. We also have really vibrant skin texture as we lead down. There's a lighter brownish sort of tone for the underside of the neck, a very smooth transition to that area. And as far as the neck articulation goes, right there in that spot, can go up pretty high, down really nicely. It is super smooth, and it can swivel as well, so this definitely allows you to get some pretty cool poses, even a pose like this where the head's kind of straight out and the dinosaur looks a little bit angry. But I definitely really like the neck articulation on this one. As you move back, we continue with that striping effect, but we have very different tones of color as we now have a light blue and a green that continues to stripe down through the body. And not only striping along the back, you can see kind of little areas of it breaking up and striping down here on the side. We have more osteoderms that follow along the back, basically following the spinal column as well as leading out around the spinal column and then following down through the back of of the dinosaur. The paintwork does look pretty decent on this, and the grayish tone definitely helps to highlight those lighter stripes really nicely. I think it looks very flashy but naturalistic at the same time. As you move down through the body, and my camera focuses, we still see really nice looking scale detail and skin texture. We've got the belly, a little bit of a pudgy belly right there on the Mussaurus. Moving down, you can see the musculature of the front limb. We also see a nice smooth transition as we lead down there through the arm and transitioning to that light brownish tone, and then we move down into the foot sculpt. You've got the toes sculpted out, some nice scoots down the toes, and the nails painted really nicely with a glossy black. As far as the articulation goes, forward and back, also out away from the body. Then the elbow is forward and back, can swivel, and then the wrist is forward and back and can swivel. So definitely really nice looking and nice smooth articulation in the front limb. But as far as the rear limb goes, once we lead back into the leg, you can see some very large osteoderms moving down through the thigh. We can also see some nice skin texture, quite vibrant skin texture. I like how the gray kind of very gradually and smoothly transitions, but also kind of runs up and then back down around the back. That looks really cool. And then we lead down again with the brownish tones of color. The muscle definition doesn't just look nice in the upper part of the leg. You can also see a bulging here in the calf muscle. And then we lead down into the foot sculpt, and then you've got some nice scoots down the toes. And actually, the nails are not a black. I don't know why I said that before. They're a green, like a darker variation of a green, and they have a very nice gloss coat on them. Articulation-wise, moving down through the legs, you've got, of course, your standard hip articulation that does move out away from the body and then back in. You as well have knee articulation, which actually works really smoothly, can swivel, and then ankle articulation, which as well works really nicely. You can see it can really quite nicely go back and, of course, swivel. So all the articulation that you know and love for the Hammond collection, maybe even a little better than normal. As we lead down, you can see that brownish tone follow along the underside, but that starts to disappear as you lead past the groin area. And then we have just the gray as we lead out, but we also have more variation to the stripes. We actually have a little bit of a different shade of color here with a slightly lighter green, and then as we move back, we get a little bit more of a vibrant green that stripes all the way out through the tail. So the amount of paintwork on this is actually really impressive for Mattel, even for the Hammond collection, honestly. I think they did a very good job on the paint apps, and this might be one of the nicest when it comes to how striking it looks and the amount of paint application they used that we've seen from Mattel in the Hammond collection so far. Articulation in the tail, of course, left, right, up, and down in this area, and then you do have a wire posable tail on top of that. And of course, once you turn the figure over here to this side, looks pretty much the same as it did on the first side. But that is an absolutely gorgeous Mussaurus. I really like this. Also, the other foot that we have, as you can see, basically just has like curved toes right there, which look really cool. Again, just adding a little bit extra if you really want to find more poses. I love the fact that Mattel is now including accessories with these. But for a length, I guess we could technically put the head and neck out pretty far. For a length from the snout to the tail, about 9 inches or 23 centimeters. And if we keep it here in a nice quadrupedal pose, but put the head up about 3 1/4 inches or a little over 8 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being, next to our Mussaurus. And as you can see, it's pretty much in the same size range as the Colovosaurus there, just better proportions when it comes to that tail length, but not too far off from your standard Attack Pack or Danger Pack size range. And then for just a few random Hammond collection comparisons when it comes to the smaller figures, here is the Scutosaurus, which you can see is of a similar size. We've also got the Dimetrodon, which is obviously a little bit shorter for the most part outside of the sail area, but kind of similar in size. As well as the more recently released Troodon, which is also, again, kind of similar in size. And finally, a Velociraptor with Velociraptor Blue, which you can see is also fairly similar in size to the Mussaurus. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Hammond Collection Mussaurus is gorgeous. I absolutely love this figure. And when it comes to the smaller, newest wave of Hammond Collection, it's definitely the one I was most looking forward to from this wave. I think they did a great job on this. As far as, like, being an accurate Mussaurus, I don't know how great it is, but It's definitely a very nicely done figure, and since it is Jurassic World, I guess it technically never needs to be accurate. But when it comes to the Hammond collection, especially when it comes to the paint, I think they amped it up for this one. Like, the paint looks really good on this, the patterns look great, and I love the fact that they have so much variation in the patterns as you move through the body, like all sorts of different tones of color, changing honestly the entire way through the body, which looks really good. The transitions are nice and smooth, the fine detail is fantastic, and the articulation seems even better than it usually is. Very, very smooth, and a little bit more mobility overall. And you also have accessories with those alternate front feet. So overall, this is a fantastic release and a fantastic addition to the Hammond collection. If you are interested, you can, of course, purchase it on Walmart like I did if you'd like, or you can just wait for Target to stock it so you can grab it for the retail price of like $15. So either way, I'll include links in the description to both of those places, so pick this up and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.